Alright, welcome back to Super Sentai Review, episode 187. Yes, I am getting very, very close to basically having my 200 review for the series. Yeah, it's getting pretty close. As a matter of fact, if you think about it, aside from the main Comic Corner series, which has already have 2,000 episodes already, if you don't count that, this is probably one of my longest running series I've actually done so far. Out of all my series I did. Now, you might be curious though, is there a series I did start but I dropped it? Yes, one. I dropped my figure reviews. Now, why am I discussing this? Because basically, reached this far. I'm like, with this episode 30 episodes away from reaching episode 200 for the series. Do I think it'll be with Go-onger? I don't think so. I think I might be able to finish up. It might be with the next Sentai I will be covering. I will review that when I finish up finish a Go-onger. That's when I'll basically get to episode 200. Which is quite something if I can get this far with it. Yep. Now, the only series that basically they're almost just as long is basically Case Closed, Black Clover, and My Hero Academia. Those are anime reviews. But for non-anime related, this is probably, this is the only non-anime review series where I reached this high. Because the only ones that have reached over 100 episodes that are not anime related or this is my movie reviews and my novel reviews. I haven't brought the series back a long time because I haven't read any regular novels to review that one, so there's that. But here we're discussing episodes 36 to 30, 35, 30, 32, 36 of Go-onger, plus their one solo movie they had throughout the entire series. Yep. Now, in the case of these episodes, let's talk about the movie first. Because the movie itself is pretty much in a way like... Excuse me. It is set between... is technically set between episodes 29. It's set between time period 29 and 32. Yeah. Now, in the case of basically this movie, this is basically the sole appearance of the samurai. Pretty much we have these three humans that we have is where the pollution missions open up the dimensional portal. And then of course like it gets out of control, a bunch of monsters show up, and then these three samurai show up. They steal the engines for Speeder, Bus, and Bear V. Yeah, they pretty much in the way. Apparently, there's like a spin-off movie of this one. Mm-hmm. Have I seen these? No, I haven't. It's basically the spin-off is just pretty much in the way Boomper basically trying to find the pollution missions for like several episodes. So these three are in fact they reveal later on when they get to the samurai world. Yes, samurai world. Which, by the way, when they shot the main villain their sword, and I'm looking at like, wait, isn't that Xandred's sword? And I'm sure it probably was reused. Yeah, the main villain in this piece is known as Empress Miki, which, by the way, she never appears in RPM I can think of. Nope. Yeah, and this probably gave the idea for next Sentai series to deal with samurai because of this particular world. Mm-hmm. We have Ryusuke, Shishon, and Tazura. Ryusuke is like basically he basically every of these three are actually engines. Oh, okay, so we're gonna see some fallout from the movie. Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So pretty much the way you have Ryusuke, his car form is basically looks like Speeder, but samurai style. Yep. Yeah. As the other two, Sashoin, he looks like the bus. Yeah, basically like bison. Yep. Yep. And as Tatsuki, she basically is like Bear V. Yep. And when these three eventually form their own Megazord, it's basically Shogun. And I should point out the fight sequence is very similar to the Thunder Megazord. Well, basically, we equip Thunder Megazord in Power Rangers. In Mario Power Rangers Season 2, he uses a sword, and when he's done, puts back in a thing, and that's that. But in the case, basically, the story of this one is that, oh, Miki is basically take their cast forms, and two of them return to her grunts, and as for the third one, she kept inside of her body. No, seriously, she did. So they have to deal with the samurai stuff. By the way, this world was actually revisited like twice. It was actually revisited in the follow up of the show, which was in the Shuriken versus Go-onger movie, and believe it or not, the 35th anniversary of the franchise. They revisited this very world as sort of a spoof on samurai movies, which is so hilarious. Yeah, the Polish ministers are using the biplane that was the vehicle that was used by the vice minister. Now he's not in the movie at all. No, he is not. They use his vehicle, but he's not there. Now here's the thing: where they found the damn thing, they don't. It's not really explained what they found it. And this is technically the last time we see this thing, and I don't think it appears ever again in the series. So eventually, things seem convincing. The three engine souls do team up with. We have this really awesome fight sequence later in the movie where you have Sosuke take on Miki in her castle. Yes, her feudal her castle. Excellent sword fight. He takes out his sword and basically has got a gimmick sword. Along with here too, like good fight sequence. And of course, part of this, he also speaks about the heart. Well, that's what the justice is basically having hearts. That's basically the message. Just one have a good heart. And then when she transforms into a giant size, because of the fact she has the cast of the analog to Speeder, she basically turns into a freaking Hydra. And nobody mentions she's a Hydra. The spy thing about appearances, she's a freaking Hydra. And after, of course, when they see that, oh, the engines can form these Megazords, these three are surprised the fact this can happen. Yes, they are very much surprised. They'll eventually, of course, now that's the only Megazord we see the whole movie. Because here's the reason why. The Whale and Car Ranger Megazords, they actually stay behind. The whole dimensions are open. So, eventually, of course, they do eventually form the Megazord after the original one basically gets wrecked and taken apart. Eventually, she does go to her primary form, and that's the feat. And then the thing turns to like a statue, and then they go back home, and that's it for that. It's not exactly showing exactly them coming back per se. Probably have to watch the episodes to basically look at that. But in the case of basically the main episodes, 30. In the case of basically episode 30, 32. This is basically Now, here's the strange thing about episode 32 to 36. If you don't count 35 as basically 34 part of the storyline. Yeah. Okay, Dad, you can answer the freaking phone. Oh, I probably watched episodes basically to go through what happens next. It is possible. Yeah, it's possible. I might have to basically watch the episode at some point and figure out what happens in the episode. So we have debut of these primary Zords known as the engines Kasoma T-Line and K-Line. Yeah, which apparently take the form of a dragon. And the whole plot of this episode is that this father, who is this guy who's a single father of two kids, looking for a single hope to restore his company. Eventually, of course, he decides to at the end after, well, kind of losing the treasure. He decides to rent an apartment in Tokyo, which okay, and it's a good character piece for these two. And then it's him. And by the way, this family is never seen again next episode because they kind of have it where in this episode where Sosuke becomes their partner. And then pretty much like episode 33 is the debut of the Megazord for the three for those three ancient Zords, which by the way it look like they're a mammoth, a Triceratops, and a T-Rex. And the T-Rex and Triceratops are the feet, and the elephant is basically the main body, which not the first Megazord I've seen to do that. The last one I've seen where the elephant was the main body was actually back in, get this, Go-onger. Yep, Go-onger has Zord basically where the main part of it was like that. 34 is, you can kind of think of it as a filler episode because it doesn't really advance the plot at all. I mean, the big thing about this one is that the ending leads into the last two appearances of the Earth Pollution Minister. This episode 34 is the sole appearance of Saki's sister. She refers as an evil woman. She will use her ways to manipulate anybody she pleases. Heck, she blackmailed her sister for years over the fact that she was a bedwetter. I am not kidding. Yeah, all the fact she was a bedwetter when she was a kid. And, yep, that was simply the reason for it. So, eventually, now here's the thing. Genpai, he, of course, he counters her. He's trying to get a taxi to buy too much stuff. By the way, his stuff is left there and never basically brought up the episode. He maybe got back. Okay, he's about to get a taxi. And, yeah, he's about to get his taxi, and then, of course, she shows up. And eventually, this woman, like, oh, you're the Go-onger. Of course, she sees him transform. And by the way, after this episode, she's never seen again. She also took the time to steal the Ranger's primary base and sell it for like 1,800 yen. Though they had to get it back somehow. Though by next episode, it's back in their possession without any question at all. The end of the episode, because of the fact the Pollution Minister was very mad, the fact they thought, oh, was this their legendary beast? No, he eventually goes back to the site, digs some more, and he actually finds the actual creature, which takes the form of a giant monkey. I am not kidding. Apparently it makes sounds. And like the very next episode, we see sort of big character boost for Sasuke, where he basically gets to fight his first round fight with the Earth Pollution Minister, and he hits him with something which does play into what happens later on in the next episode. But after they defeat the monkey in the very next episode, Sosuke collapses, and then he turns into this rust thing, which he supposedly dies at the end of the episode. But by the end of episode 36, he's basically back alive. And of course, also Yoshin decided to go giant size the episode, which gotta have villains do that. And of course, they have the G12 formation, which they debut in episode 35. And the next episode, he also at one point steals their part of their transformation device, the chainsaw, which that's what causing him to transform. So he steals it. Now, normally this would happen toward the very end of the series, but this happens in episode 35. 35. That's what this happens. And you think, really? 35? The next episode, they get the back to things anyways, and his giant form is defeated, and eventually have a brief fight between a rematch between Sasuke and Yosen, which ends with Sasuke defeating him. And he's gone. He's gone for the rest of the series. Though there's a character looks like him, does show up during the last 5 episode series. I'll get to that when I get to him. But does he come back, you might ask? Yes, he does. He comes back a whopping 3 times in movies. His first return was actually in Shuriken versus Go-onger. Second time was in a movie I actually have reviewed. It was in GekijōBang versus Space Sheriff Gavin, which basically had to return there, where they apparently gave up the evil ways, and they were in prison for it. And they were freed by the Silver Ranger, which I thought was so cool. And his final appearance is in the 10th anniversary of the series. I'll get to that. I'll watch that as soon as this one's over with. Because I've watched the movie that comes after this series, I'm going to go immediately to that one. And that's pretty much it for the Air Pollution Master. So basically, from episodes 37 to 45, it just basically just continuing what the series was doing before until they built to the end game, which has debut of the final villain of the series. Yeah, and here's the thing. Second time in the series, they kill off a villain. Though this one was a villain that appeared since episode 1. And he was definitely a good villain. I got handed to him. I do like the fact after taking his brief hiatus, he's no longer doing the goofiness he was doing before. There was, however, one episode of his where he was basically very neutral because the creature we're working with, like, it's a sort of what he goes freaking nuts. Where he takes the power of the creature destroyed in the last episode, he can go giant size. And basically, the fight is not exactly anticlimactic. It's a great battle, but it takes less than a minute, but it's good on that part. And of course, Mao, he does the thing where she's like still worried about him. It's obviously hinted that she's in love with Sasuke, but he's of course oblivious to it. I mean, dude, you have a beautiful woman in love with you, man, and you're oblivious to it. Yeah. But not much else to say about this episodes. They're good. The movie, of course, is really good. I probably should watch the web episodes. Probably after this video is done. Probably watch it, but yeah. That's particular view. You might be asking, Nick, where's the Chainsaw Man review? Was there an episode released this week? It should have been. It's not on the damn website. Yeah, Crunchyroll was not uploaded for some damn reason. I have no idea why. So, the very next video will be more Super Sentai. Because I have no anime review today. And also, I have no comic horrors ready to go. So, I figured just go on to Super Sentai. But I'll be up in a bit. Okay, next video. Bye.